Welcome back, Nick Lenz. Comic Corner Classics, that's non-classic. This is episode number 1133 and Doubleshot number 1027. I got two trays for featuring the character of Laura McKinley, aka X-23, aka Wolverine. Yes. First up, it's her time as X-23, originally. Not the current one yet. I will get that one eventually. We have Daken, Dark Wolverine, Slash. Well, actually, it's verse X-23 Collision. This collects issues from Daken, Dark Wolverine issues 5 through 9, and X-23 Volume 2, Volume 3 issues 7 through 9, and material from Wolverine War of the Hell one shot. Now, the Wolverine War of the Hell issue is, and of course, Daken, Dark Wolverine, is written by Danny Way and Marjorie Liu. Marjorie Liu also writes the X-23 issues. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, now those of you who are not regular comic fans, those of you who know X-23 is, that's perfectly fine, because of the X-Men Lewis TV show, that's when she first showed up. You are thinking, who the heck is Daken? Daken Athro, the son of Wolverine, first appeared in Wolverine Origins number 11. Created by Daniel Way, of course, the same guy who read the title, and the late Steve Dillon. Yep. They're the one who first created these two. These two created this guy. And here's something weird, though. When he first showed up, he was wearing a Speedo. I am not kidding. Also, he tried to kill Logan when he first showed up. He was sort of a semi-recurring character in Wolverine Origins until Dark Reign happened, where he became Wolverine, and he just became part of the Dark Avengers. Got his own spin-off title. Yeah, he took over the Wolverine book. Basically, he took over his father's book with issue 75. Where it was retitled to Dark Wolverine, and by the way, when Wolverine was retitled 300, this book was actually counted as part of the numbering. Why? Well, because it's part of the Wolverine numbering. And after basically 16 issues, the book was relaunched, restarted back number 1, and retitled to simply Daken Dark Wolverine. And unlike the X-23 title, which lasted for 21 issues, this one lasted for 23. Yep. And it ended with his second time he died. Though the last issue of the Dark Wolverine series, issue 90, that was basically a prelude into the very first story arc of Daken Dark Wolverine, which just kind of follows right after that. Basically, Daken himself is going to Manjapur to start a bid to take over the world. Because of course he is. He's evil. Now, unlike his father, he does have two weird claws, but he also has a claw in his wrist. Yes, he has a claw coming out of his wrist. Now, those of you probably thinking about Laura, she, of course, has got two claws in her hand, and the other one is not in her wrist. Nope, the other one's actually in her feet. Yes, it's a very weird design choice of how they created her. Mostly put, this is just a Daken book, and Laura comes in after just basically Daken by himself for a couple issues. He actually meets with Tiger. Yeah, in case you don't know who Tiger is, a lot of people probably don't know who she is. She first appeared back in Marvel Comics Presents issue 1. Yes, not the one that came out last year, not the one that came out in 2012. Actually 2010. No, this was the original book that came out in 1988. That's when she first showed up. She's been a heavily recurring character in the Wolverine comics, well, at least in the Marvel Comics universe as a whole, for years. And Daken meeting up with her is quite interesting. Also, fun fact about Daken, his mother basically was killed by the Winter Soldier. And here's the thing, Daken has never met Bucky Barnes. Nope, never has. And despite the fact Wolverine does know that Bucky killed Daken's mother, he knows that Bucky was brainwashed. Brainwashed has been cleared for years, but yes. It's odd though, Daken has never met the Winter Soldier. I'm like, really? Daken, I know you're kind of evil, but why don't you go try to attack or at least try to take down the Winter Soldier, the man who murdered your mother? Yes. This is like really weird about Daken. Like, he knows to kill his mother, and yet he doesn't go after him. Nope. No, he doesn't. Now, those who are probably thinking, why is Laura here? To stop Daken. That's the gist of it. Also, the artwork in here is really good. Now, the Road to Hell cover is done by Mako Sada and Jason Keith. The interior artwork for Daken for his issues for 5 through 6 is Gaspe Kamakali, who also has the interior for Wolverine Road to Hell, and Will Conrad. He also, and basically after issue 6, basically there's also flashback background artist is he also has 2 background artists, believe it or not, is Garza Labacuro and Kristen Lorca. With issue 7, it is Austin Pineda. 8 through 9, it is Marco Cheto. For X23, the artwork for issue 7 is done by Sada Tika. 8 and 9 is done by Ryan Stegman. Yep. And the cover of her book is done by Kalman Orzowski. Yes, and one thing that was really cool for this book, I believe it's issue 6 or 7, where it's basically, if you ever read the original Wolverine comic book that came back in 1988, the one that basically lasted up until issue like 188, when it was relaunched in 2003, you probably recognize this cover. This is Dark and Dark Wolverine issue 7. You probably look at the cover like, wait, is that Wolverine #1 from 1988? Well, the cover itself is a clear homage to that. That's simply what this cover is, and I appreciate the artist of the book for issue 7, which is Gustavo Kamakali. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that he did this. Yeah, it's a really cool cover, and I love the fact he did a homage to it. And it's the only cover that's actually a homage to a classic Wolverine cover that I can think of. Yeah. And also, and this I thought was really neat, Laura, if you see on the cover here, she's clearly wearing her X-Force costume. And yes, she's actually wearing her costume now. Finally! It only took her about 9 issues. Yep. And in case you're wondering about Daken's costume in here, well, that's the costume he was wearing at this point in time. Yeah, he wore it just for his ongoing series. Yeah, he ditched the last outfit he wore. You see, his original outfit was actually one of his father's old costumes. It was the ugly brown and yellow costume. He wore this costume briefly. Now, the big difference between Daken and his father is that Daken is thin. Really, really thin. Also, this is quite interesting about Daken. Daken is bisexual. I am not kidding about that. Because it was this one issue. Because here's the thing. He also has a hormone thing. Where he controls hormones to get people to fall in love with him by instant. He's one of 2 superheroes I can think of who actually has this power. The other one, of course, is Jessica Drew. And what does Daken use it to do? Like, I remember there was one issue, I think it was later on after this, where some guys try to shoot him up. And he takes to the guys, and what does the leader? Sleeps with him. Despite the fact he tried to kill him. Yep. That's Daken for you. Will sleep with anybody he wants to. Heck, he even sleeps with the FBI agent later on in the series who developed an obsession with him when she first showed up at the start of the series. And then, like, toward the end of it, it's like, oh, let's have Daken have a one-night stand with her and then have her never reappear ever again. I will eventually review more stuff with Daken, but the other thing I have reviewed prior to this is issues that tie into Siege. Yeah, that's all I review, and this is the next thing. I gotta say, this is a great book, and I do recommend it for people who are fans of X23. There's probably not a lot of fans of Daken, per se, but it's interesting, though, that Daken's book lasted 2 issues longer than X23's did. Good book. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Okay, starting from second volume of another book, now we're going to the end of another book featuring Laura. This is All New Wolverine Volume 6, Old Woman Laura. This collects the last 5 issues of All New Wolverine, issues 31-35, written by Tom Taylor. Artwork by 3 different artists. You have Marco Ferlita, who does issue 31, Dodgero Masri Pan does issue 32, and Roman Roseith does issues 33-35. Interesting, though, they don't have the original cut. They don't have the original artist doing the last issues, which That's kind of weird. Yeah, and here's something quite strange though. It seems like every story arc, this book has to have changed artists on here. The artwork's not really bad. No, the artwork is always really good. The first two issues are just standalone issues. The first issue is kind of tying up a loose end from early on in the series, where you have just starts up with Jonathan, Gabby and Laura's pet Wolverine eating through a bird statue, so take him for a walk. Goes walking about, starts growling, comes across, just by sheer coincidence, the building which Jonathan was experimented on. And instead of calling for her sister to help her, she calls Deadpool. Yes, frickin' Deadpool. Because why not? And her phone says pool dead. I thought that was funny. And she says, like, need help. Is that unethical? No. Is it illegal? Yes. On my way, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I thought that was so funny. The fact that he did that. Because it's typical Deadpool. And then they go into the building. And he just basically just hops behind 2 armed guards. Chloroforms them. And he's like, you carry chloroform with you? And he's like, never leave home without it. And then they go inside. There's another guard, and Gabby, who was already changed to her honey badger outfit. Chloroform's another guard, though he does bop his head, though he's unconscious for quite some time. And they go to a room full of, and they go to a first lab full of zombie rabbits, which remind me of Night of the Lepist. Yes, I heard a really bad movie that tried to make rabbits scary. Yeah. And there's a mild reference to that, and watching guys like killing these zombie rabbits, like Dipple's like, you want a soda? He's like, sure. And she's like, sure, because they just happen to come across a vending machine, which I thought was so hilarious. And then of course Laura shows up because, well, starts worrying about her, doesn't call her back and she asks, why didn't you call me? Because you would have stopped me. And she's like, yeah, I probably would have. And they just come across the doctor who's experimenting on Jonathan. Instead of, turn him over to the police, he proceeds to be kicked down a pit. Yes, the pit. Which, I don't know if this is a reference to New Universe, where they had a crossover known as The Pit, or the character from Image Comics called The Pit. Yeah, it's just a pit. And the guy gets eaten. And then they burn down the place. And that's it. The next issue is simply put just a tie-up a loose end from the Orphan X storyline, which ended with a very odd cliffhanger with Laura joining the Orphans of X, and then apparently off-screen, the Orphans disbanded. And despite the fact that this guy's daughter basically doesn't like Laura very much, goes after a foreign business associate of his and just, takes him out. Yeah, and then we jump ahead next issue to the future, to Lady Laura. And I love the first issue's cover for this. Reminds me of, I kid you not, this cover reminds me of Deadpool 2099. Yeah. I mean, if you look at this cover, doesn't this not remind you of Deadpool 2099? Yeah, it clearly does. Yeah, this actually, believe it or not, is not Laura. This Wolverine is actually Gabby. Yes, this is an alternate future where, get this, there's a one world government, and Miss Marvel, the current Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, is the president, and her Joint Chief of Staff, the head of the Chief of Staff, Joint Chief of Staff, is Maria Hill, of all people. I'm like, she's not in the military. Why the heck is she the Joint Chief of Staff? Okay. Oh, yeah, and also, Captain Marvel's still alive, along with Hawkeye. I'm like, okay. And what's Laura doing? She's a Queen of Menjapur. Yeah, and she's got a slightly different attire. Yeah, they gave her a different look for this alternate timeline. Which, okay, that's interesting. I mean, it looks like Gabby's outfit. Now, Gabby's outfit is simply just, more blue than yellow. This is Laura's outfit, and yes, you can see that Laura's got gray in her hair. Which, I get the reason why Tom Taylor did this, because he probably knew the series, but I think he really wanted to do this storyline. So, yes. So, their job is to go look for their missing sister, which I don't think they find her. And they end up pretty much freeing a bunch of superheroes who were taken by Doctor Doom, who was the last threat to world peace. And the superheroes taken were the following: original Thor, Jane Foster Thor, Daredevil, apparently Rocket Raccoon for some reason. Yeah, I have no idea why. That apparently Doctor Doom took Rocket Raccoon of all people. And that's it. We also have brief appearance by Quicksilver and Miles Morales and Captain America. A female Captain America who's black. This might be Danielle Cage. They don't confirm it. It's just a black female Captain America. There's been a couple of these I could think of. Whereas when you have a black female Captain America. The other ones I could think of were Danielle Cage, who first appeared in the Ultron Forever storyline by Al Ewing, and then that character returned for the first story arc of U.S. Avengers. This could be her. I have no idea. The only one I can think of is the Captain America popped up in Spider-Gwen. Yep. But this storyline does end with basically Laura killing Doctor Doom. Makes sense. And her walking off with her sister. And that's it. This series overall is wicked. Let me show up the trades here. Okay. Yeah, I totally forgot to do this before I did the review. Yeah. So, final thoughts on the series. An absolutely fantastic series. I'm also going to show off all the books I have. I have all 6 books that collect this really amazing series. Yeah. First volume. Second volume, which was a tie into Civil War II. Third volume, Enemy of State 2, which is the last one to feature the original. This is the last one to feature the original logo before they switched out for the logo they have for pretty much the rest of the series. Immune, which is by far the weakest storyline in the entire series. It's quite an odd one, but it's kind of fun to read. Volume 5, Orphans of X, which is kind of, you could think of the finale for the series, but this one really is right here. But yeah, all 6 books, which are really, really good. Yeah, this is all 6 books. I own all these. The first 2 I got from Comic-Con. The rest of these, like this one, I got from, I believe I got this one from Amazon. This one I actually bought at Barnes & Noble. And these last 2 I got from Amazon. Yeah. Yeah, and of course the last issue, you see like Laura losing her mask. Yeah, that's probably symbolic for the fact that, oh, she went back to X-23 after this, which, in my opinion, really stupid idea. But, no denying, this series is fantastic. It's a shame Marvel ended the series when they did. And took away her identity as all new Wolverine. Yeah, Tom Taylor did an absolute fantastic job with the series. I get the fact he wanted to leave and do something else, fine. But you could have kept Laura as Wolverine. Nope. Take away her mask and have her be X-23 again. All because her father's alive. Which, in my opinion, was stupid. And here's something quite strange, though. Despite the series ended, there was actually one miniseries and one brief ongoing series that she still was referred to as Wolverine. X-Men Red, which I have reviewed, and one of the Hunt for Wolverine miniseries, I think it was like Midnight Men. I think it was the Anti-Man Agenda, I think it was. That one. That one featured also as Wolverine as well. But that's the last thing I review right now for her time originally as Wolverine. I think her becoming Wolverine was an absolute fantastic idea. And it's a shame Marvel took this identity away from her just because her father was alive. And I have to keep saying this. Like, oh, we can't have 2 Wolverines. We can't have 2 Captain Americas. But yet it's okay to have 2 Hawkeyes. Oh, by the way, the Hawkeye appearing here, it's not Clint Barton, it's Kate Bishop. Yeah, we can have 2 Hawkeyes. We got 2 Spider-Men. Not two Wolverines. Yes. Thank you, John. And by the way, this whole thing of her being X-23 did not last very long because Hickman, in his fifth issue of his run for X-Men, had her take back the identity as Wolverine. And even Logan approved of her using the name. So, basically, to the people who took away the identity, you were wrong to take away the identity as Laura Kinley's identity as Wolverine. Because this was character development. What you guys did by taking it away and have her go back to being X-23 just because her father was alive was absolute stupid move on the part of Marvel to do. And thank you God it was fixed. Because I don't know if anybody else was hit by this. I mean, my friend Edgar didn't have a really big problem with her being because she knew this I didn't think was temporary. Me, I thought this was a brilliant stroke of genius on the part of Tom Taylor to do. But yes, he did a Superior Iron Man series, which my friend Edgar loves that series. I agree, that's a fantastic series. This series lasted longer than Superior Iron Man. If you wonder what Tom Taylor does now, I can't think of a series he does right now. No. I can't think of any book that I had tried to look it up and see exactly what was the most recent book that I could think of he did. And here's the thing with Tom Taylor. At one point when he was doing this series, he was doing this series along with a brief run for... He did, it was this series, Batman Superman for a couple issues, and... I think it was I think it might have been X-Men Blue. Actually, X-Men Go... No, Red. Yes, Red. I mean, most people know for, Injustice Got Among Us. Oh, yeah, I forgot. He does Suicide Squad now. He also is deceased. So at least the guy is still active. And here's the interesting thing when it comes to Tom Taylor. You're probably thinking, okay, what? Here's the thing about Tom Taylor. He's different from, let's say, Peter David or someone like Grant Morrison. He's not American. He's not British. He's Australian. Yeah. He is Australian, which that's interesting, the fact he is Australian. And the guy has done a lot of stuff since this book series ended back in 2018. It's ended about 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago this book ended. And what has he done since then? Well, since the book ended, he's mostly done he did the miniseries. Well, he did DC Nuclear Winter, the third Batman Annual, Batman Secret Files, Injustice 2, DC Giant, Deceased, all stuff associated with Deceased, The Year of the Villain Black Mask. He did one issue of Teta Comics. He's currently writer of Suicide Squad. He did Aquaman Giant number 3, which I think was part of the miniseries for him. Joker 80th Anniversary, a story for that. And there's a book coming with him soon called Hellblazer Rise and Fall. So yeah, the guy has kept busy since he actually stopped writing this book. Yeah. For Marvel, after he did the series, he did Age of Resistance. Yeah, that's all he did for Marvel right after he finished up this, was Age of Resistance one-shots. Yeah. Oh, in case you're wondering, now the series did have an annual, but that was collected in a Spider-Gwen trade. Yep, collected in a Spider-Gwen trade. Yeah. And there's no denying that this series was utterly fantastic. And a right move Marvel do this, but bad takeaway from her. Okay? But not much I'll say about the All New Wolverine series. It is fantastic. I highly recommend it to read because it is a fantastic read. Though it has some bit of basically deja vu if you like the original Wolverine comic with Logan. It does have some nods to that, but it's not a downright remake of old Wolverine comic books. I mean, yes, this series did feature Tiger for one issue. So did her previous book, which I thought that was so cool. The fact they did that. And another really cool thing, they featured Nick Fury for a couple story arcs, which, okay, quite ingenious. Because His father frequently appeared in the original Wolverine comics, so why not his son? And by the way, he did appear in the Wolverine comic when Logan had the book. During the period of time before he was about to die, by Paul Cornell. Yeah, Paul Cornell had guest stuff for a couple of issues. So, yeah, at least Tom Taylor's following that tradition, having Nick Fury appear in the book, which is amazing. Yeah, all in all, great book. Read it. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. I didn't expect this video to go so long, but yeah. So, in case of the next review, which will be a One Piece review, which will review the Rima Mist arc, which I will be talking about this arc, which is quite interesting, by the way. But see you next video. Bye.